It's 2021 now, and for most of us, if not all of us, our priorities have been changing or they've been altered, and our outlook has been changed or it's been altered. And this affects our productivity as well. And at least it does for me. And so I wanted to go through what this means in 2021. I mean, 2021 has already started, but basically, I mean, post COVID, you know what I mean, and how this has changed my outlook and also, therefore, my productivity going forward in terms of my business and life in general. So one thing, as I alluded to there, is that 2021 has really made me, and I mean has made many of us, if not most of us, really conscious about the people we're close to in life and the moments in life and what we're going through. And I want to get a bit more into that later on. But first, I want to talk about how this has affected me in terms of my business and in terms of life in general and productivity. And so I want to talk about productivity, motivation, and whatnot in light of the fact that we're living in this post-COVID world, this post-2020 world, let's say. So first of all, in terms of work and productivity, now I've decided really to cut down on the number of things I do, and I always do one thing at a time. This was sort of a problem before. I knew I was always spread too thin trying to do this, that, and the other and everything. And so now I really just try to concentrate on one thing at a time, one goal at a time. This doesn't mean that I can't do more than one thing, but at any given point in time, like, for however many months or whatever, I'm only working on one project, one thing. And then later I can dedicate it to something else. But I set these up ahead of time. And I do this mainly because I know I haven't been too focused in the past and I've been kind of all over the place. And I figured with everything going on in the world, I really, when it comes to work, I just want to focus on that and not get lost in it and waste my time and not dedicate any more time and effort and energy than I have to work stuff, just so I can dedicate it to everything else that I want to dedicate it to. And a big part of that for me, a big thing for me was to be able to say no to a lot of things, to cut a lot of things out and just concentrate on one thing at a time and just follow that path. And so that's what I've been doing. That's my first thing in terms of productivity for business. The other thing, well, there are a couple other things I've been doing. And so to name something a bit more hands-on that I've been doing is I got rid of all my apps on my phone, all the social media apps, except for LinkedIn. Why did I do this? Because I waste a lot of time on social media, like everyone, I assume. And so I got rid of, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff because I don't want to waste a lot of time on it. I can still access it, but I have to go to my browser and go to the URL and actually, sign into the website. Rather than just have the app send me notifications and I can just click on the app and see it. And I kept LinkedIn for a couple of reasons. First of all, I know I'm going to waste time on my phone no matter what. At a certain point, I'm going to pick out my phone and just start scrolling up and down. I figured if I do it on LinkedIn, at least it's semi-professional, right? And at least there I can, I feel like I'm sort of being productive, even if I'm wasting time. At least it's something that has to do with the business world. And so I figured I'll keep that one just so if I do want to waste time, it'll be on that. In the future, I might get rid of that one as well, but I figured that will at least alleviate my need for social media. And then I'll be able to at least feel I'm being somewhat productive rather than spending hours just wasting time on Instagram, scrolling through all the pictures and stuff like that. And this is actually something that I recommend for a lot of other people to do as well, to get rid of so many easy ways to waste time, especially when it really is wasted time. Like you can spend, these algorithms are so good. And, like it's been pointed out, I think Yuval Harari was the one who pointed out, no one wakes up in the morning and thinks, oh, I want to see a car crash. But they'll wake up and, open Facebook and there's a video of a car crash and the algorithm knows that you've been watching it. So suddenly, before you know it, you've spent 20, 25 minutes just looking at car crashes before you even start your day. And this happens all the time. And the algorithms are so good at capturing your interest that you just end up wasting so much time. And so I think it really helps to be conscious of this because we really don't want to waste time. At the end of the day, any time that I spend, I want it to either be improving myself in some way or creating memories, right? So improving myself can be work or, and I count stuff like learning new languages or stuff like that. Like I mentioned before how I'm studying now and studying for certain language tests, stuff like that. I count that as well. I find it entertaining, but I find it helps me as well. It helps me improve as a person. And then the rest is creating memories, like with my family, with my loved ones and stuff like that. We've noticed during these times how these moments are so fleeting and they're so rare that I really want those to be special. So that means just wasting time watching TV shows, stuff like that I won't remember. Really, I'm really trying to minimize it. I still do it. It still happens. Stuff falls through the cracks, but I'm really trying to maximize the time I spend either on improving myself or creating memories. Those two things are really currency for me. And and that's how the social media thing ties in. And that's why I made that big decision about that, about being more productive in business and just cutting down what I do for business. Another thing that I did recently is in terms of books. I've talked about this before. I read quite a bit. Last year I read 150 something books, 160, I guess. And I'm trying to cut that down because I realized after a while that I think subconsciously I'm reading just to read. And then I can add another book to the number of books I read. Goodreads keeps track of stuff like that. And I know I'm not supposed to, and I don't think consciously I do that, but I think subconsciously I'll finish a book even if it's crap. Just so I can add it there as a number of books to read. And I've always found it very hard to stop a book halfway through it, even if I know it's going to be a crap book. I just want to finish it quickly so I can get to the next book instead of just letting it go. So I have a new goal now that I want to increase the number of books I do not finish. So I'm keeping track of those on Goodreads. And I want to have, I don't know, say like 50 books at least that I do not finish. Now, I'm also trying to be a lot more picky when I pick the books, but in that sense, I want to make sure every single book I pick is at least a 4 or 5 star rating. Like it's a good book and I haven't wasted my time on a 2 or 3 star book. But they're all ideally 5 stars. But I'm not going to be, also because the way I rate it is kind of different. So 4 and 5 stars are what I'm shooting for. And because I don't want to waste a lot of time. I know I spend a lot of time reading. I don't consider it wasted, but let's be truthful. A lot of it is wasted. And so I want to stop doing that. And ultimately, that's sort of the theme for my productivity for 2021. 2021 really reminded me of this article, which I'll link down below. And I remember, thinking I should read this once a year, and I stopped reading it. But but I'm going to start doing it. In fact, I put it in my Google Calendar, and now I'm going to recommend it to you guys as well. And it's called The Tail End, by who is it? By Tim Urban. And I'll link to it. It's an excellent article. I recommend you read it regularly because it will remind you what's important in life. And let me just share with you an excerpt here. It turns out that when I graduated from high school, I'd already used up 93% of my in-person parent time. I am now enjoying, he's 34 years old when he writes this, I'm now enjoying the last 5% of that time. We're in the tail end. And that's true for pretty much all of you. By the time you graduate from high school, you've already used up 93% of your in-person parent time. It made sense because you lived with them, so you were with them 24/7 before. But this is something you really kind of want to keep in mind, and not only with your parents, but with your siblings and stuff like that. He says with siblings, you have about 15% of your total hangout time left, and you really want to maximize that. With parents, 7% of it by the time you graduate from high school is all that's left. And but there are a bunch of other things, and he goes through the fact that he's 34 years old. So he's saying I have 60 winters left. That means 60 chances to do things during the winter, 60 Super Bowls left. I probably get to go to the beach. He's like, I usually go to the beach like once a year, so I'm probably going to go to the beach 60 more times in my life, and that's it. And that's kind of being optimistic, by the way. He's 34, 60 more years means till 94 he'll get to keep doing that. And anyway, I think it's a very important article, a very interesting one, because it gives you perspective on where you are in your life and how much of this life you have left. and that you do, and you don't want to wait until you're old or in retirement to say, okay, now I'm going to start living life, because, there's a lot more life you should be living before that. Anyway, not to get too philosophical, but I do think this is something important, and it's a lot of the mindset that a lot of us have realized what's important and what isn't, from 2021 on. So I really think that this is an important thing, and I want to share it with you guys. I know it's a bit less professional and hands-on than usual, but I still hope that you'll find it useful. And feel free to let me know your thoughts and share your thoughts on this, because I'm very curious to hear that as well. Anyway, that's pretty much it for now. I will talk to you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye. Sabi